Hey family, this is Brandy. Hope all is well with everyone. I just wanted to take a minute out of my day to just give a quick testimony with my experience on the Cherish Sanitary Napkin. Now, if I may, I want to be a little transparent just about my experience with both tampons and unsanitary napkins as a whole. I started my feminine flow when I was 13 years of age, and obviously my mom had introduced me to unsanitary napkins. She didn't know they were unsanitary at that point, but that's fine, you know. We live and we learn. So probably about a year later, a girlfriend of mine was using tampons, and I was a little intrigued by them. I was a little curious and asked if she could show me how to use them. Well, she showed me how to use them. They were a little uncomfortable, but I liked them much better than I did the unsanitary napkins. Why? Because I didn't have to deal with the blood being next to the most precious part of my body. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, tampons just were the thing for me, and I had used them from the age of 13. My mom didn't know that, but when she found out that I was using tampons, she was livid. But that's a whole nother story. So anyway, I used them up until the point that I was maybe 25, 26 years old, because I one day decided I was going to wear 2 tampons at one time. I had overheard, some girls discussing being on their feminine flow, and it was so heavy that they used 2 tampons. So I tried it, and that day, throughout the entire day, I'm at work, I'm taking off my tampon, changing it, taking it out, changing it, taking it out, forgetting that I had still had that second one in me. So the next day rolls around. I go home, I shower, all of that. Next day rolls around, and I take out my tampon, and I noticed like this pungent odor. It was just an odor I never smelled before. It was horrible. So I didn't know what it was at that point. It didn't even dawn on me in that moment that I had left a second tampon in. But when I realized that that's what happened, I tried pulling it out. And when I tried pulling it out, it seemed like it had adhered some way to the inside of my walls, if that makes any sense. So pulling it scared me. It was sort of like a shock when you're trying to pull it down. It just did something. I don't know. I can't even explain it. But I know that it hurt. It was very uncomfortable. And so I made a few phone calls to a few close friends, and I was given the advice to go to the emergency room, which I did, and they had taken it out. But I'm going to tell you guys, that was the most frustrating thing I had as a woman ever experienced. And so I had made a vow to myself that I was never going to use tampons, and I would never ever subject my girls to wearing those. So what I had introduced them to when they started their feminine flows was unsanitary napkins, because I wasn't educated on the dangers of traditional unsanitary napkins. And so when Mr. Demond Crump came into my living room and did a demonstration, I was floored. I thought it was a joke. I cried a little bit, because in that moment, I'm realizing, well, damn, Brandy, you really failed as a mom. Like, how do you buy this product for your girls every month and for yourself faithfully and not know what the dangers are? Well, because the chemicals and the ingredients that are in the unsanitary napkins are not listed on the packaging. So, thankfully, I became educated the day Damon Crump stepped into my living room. After he left my house, I did tons and tons of research on unsanitary napkins, dioxin, negative ions, you name it. I did the research. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And the things that I found out hurt me. It hurt me to the core. They are really killing us slowly. And still, so many of us don't even know and don't even care. And that's fine. And let me explain to you what my experience with the Cherish was. So, my cycle is usually 7 days long. No questions asked. I'm lucky if it's just 6 days. Now, I will say I had a chance to use the prototype, and it was just like an appetizer or a teaser. I had wore it to work. I was cramping severely that day, got to work, and I just felt some strange stuff going on. It was really, really strange. I couldn't even explain it, but it was something outside of my cramps. And then they just subsided. Just, not immediately. They subsided. And so I wasn't cramping for the rest of that day. Well, I just had one prototype, so I obviously had to use something outside of that, which was an organic pad. I was using Nature Care because I refused to go back after having found out the dangers of the unsanitary napkins. I refused to buy another pack of, I won't mention the brand name, but I refused to buy the store brand. So, what I was used to buying. So I went to Whole Foods and purchased Nature Care. So that's what I was using until I got the Cherish in my possession. So again, my flow is 7 days. I'm lucky if I get 6. My first 2 days, cramps, severe cramps. My flow has always been heavy. And some months they're just like extremely heavy where I'm just out for the count, So March 24th, I started my cycle. I woke up with cramps, got up, took a shower to get ready for work, placed that sanitary napkin in my underwear, went to work, was still cramping. And it's the same thing that occurred with the prototype. There was something else going on outside of my menstrual cramps. And that was fine because I knew that it was working, and I knew that soon after the cramps would have subsided. And that's exactly what happened. And folks, when I tell you, I put a sanitary napkin on at 9 a.m. in the morning. I did not take that same sanitary napkin off until 9 o'clock at night when it was time for me to then shower, because the flow wasn't heavy and I didn't have to change. I gone to the bathroom. Because psychologically, I think that's what we do, because we're so used to changing 6, 7, 8, 9, sometimes 10 times a day with the traditional unsanitary napkin. So that's just what we do. But this day, one Cherish sanitary napkin, folks, for that one day. The second day, I didn't have any cramps. 2 sanitary napkins the entire day, I promise you. The third day was a hiccup. Because again, I'm a heavy flower. I flow heavy. And I have posted in the Facebook group, the Dare to Inspire / Now We Know page, that when you are a heavy flower, we recommend that you purchase for yourself the overnight and the ultra, because the daily pads don't have enough area to keep you where you need to be. And that's fine. It doesn't mean that the product isn't good. You're just a heavy flower. So, sometimes there may be leakage, or you may have to change more than once, twice, or even more than 3 times. That's cool. in comparison to having to change 7, 8, 9, and 10 times a day. I can deal with that. So that's the hiccup I had on the third day. Fourth day, a little, that last day situation. Y'all women know what I'm talking about. That's it. Period. After that, gone. 4 days. Really? A 7-day cycle as opposed to, a 4-day cycle as opposed to a 7-day cycle? I'll take that any day. Do you understand what I'm saying to you folks? This mess right here, and I don't mean to call it mess, but I'm just floored at this miracle this sanitary napkin has performed. And so now I look forward to being on my feminine flow. I always dreaded it. I always dreaded coming on my flow. And so now I'm looking for it. I'm in my phone looking at my women's calendar like, ooh, this period can't come fast enough, So, but it's great. I've had a great experience with it, and I know that so many other women are experiencing some of the same things. If you have a testimony, you've used the product and you have a testimony, share it, please, okay? I don't want to keep up any more of your time. You guys, I have to go and run some errands, but thanks for listening and watching my story, because that is what it is, and it's an amazing one too. 7 to 4 days, you can't beat that. Ciao, y'all.